From a shark straight out of a Jurassic Park film, to one that might have been around during the time of the Founding Fathers. Hello, land dwellers, and welcome to the R2 Calypso. Sharks. Whether you love them or you hate them, you cannot deny that they've become pop culture icons. Thanks to the success of such films as 47 Meters Down, Sharknado, Jaws, The Meg, plus many more. However, sharks have always been depicted as the bad guys, and this is a good topic perhaps for a different video, because today I want to talk about 10 sharks you probably haven't heard about. With the goal being, hopefully, that some of you may find some of these sharks interesting and will want to learn more about them, and diminish all of that misplaced fear upon these incredible animals. So let's get to it. At number 10, the megamouth shark. In November 15 of 1976, a US naval research ship by the name of AFB-14 began pulling up its anchor when basically... Captain! A 14.5-foot shark weighing in at 1,500 pounds got entangled with the chain of the anchor. After getting it on board, they brought the shark back with them, at which point a marine biologist by the name of Langton Taylor was able to confirm that it was an undiscovered species. He named it the megamouth shark because, well, his mouth is 3 feet wide. However, I prefer its scientific name. He may be ugly, but he's got one of the most poetic scientific names out there. The Megachosma pelagios, Greek for giant yawner of the open ocean. Now, the big reason I chose to show this shark is because it was only discovered in 1976, which, mind you, it was 46 years ago, but this proves that there may still be large ocean animals yet to be discovered. Overall, it gets a 7 out of 10, a very cool shark with very interesting features. In number 9, I bring you the tasseled wabbegong shark. A shark who has mastered the art of camouflage through the use of its fleshy tassels to make it resemble parts of the reef, so it may then lay motionless, and use its lure-like tail to bring prey in, so he may then ambush them. This shark can be found in the Pacific Ocean near Australia. Overall, it gets an 8 out of 10 with its distinctive approach to hunting, among sharks that is. In number 8, I've chosen the Greenland shark. In the frigid cold waters of the Arctic Ocean, a shark was found whose estimated age was between 272 and 512 years old. For reference, if this shark truly was 500 years old, he would have been around during the time of King Henry VIII. Yes, the fat one that killed all his wives. Now, scientists believe that the reason for his long lifespan is due to its slow metabolism, which helps it survive in the cold, deep waters. Overall, it gets a 10 out of 10. Not only does it have a very unique adaptation among sharks, but it's also unique among the entire animal kingdom. I mean, living past 100 years, it's already impressive enough, let alone 500. Okay, and moving on to number 7, I bring you the kitefin shark. Now, I don't know if you've ever realized, but a lot of sharks and just fish in general tend to have a white underbelly. This white underbelly is actually a type of camouflage called countershading. As you may have already deduced, the way it works is if a predator was to be underneath the animal with said camouflage, it would be harder to spot said animal. Now, the kitefin shark is different from most in the sense that it has a bit of a variable in its type of camouflage. It uses luminescent countershading. See, the kitefin shark lives in the twilight zone. Well, it's actually called the mesopelagic zone, but I digress. As you may have imagined, the twilight zone gets its name because not a lot of sunlight reaches this spot, so normally countershading will not work. However, thanks to a brilliant evolutionary trait, the kitefin makes it work. And when I said brilliant, I meant literally. It glows. That's right, the shark glows. It bioluminesces more precisely. Now, it's not the only shark that can do this, but it sure is the biggest. Overall, it gets a 9 out of 10, because I believe that bioluminescent countershading is a very useful trait in the deep areas of the ocean. And this brings us to number 6, the salmon shark. Now, to explain what makes this shark so special, I need to explain what an endothermic and an exothermic creature is. Most sharks, and fish in general, are exothermic, or in other words, they are cold-blooded. Basically, their internal body temperature will match the temperature of the environment around them. Now, this becomes a problem because if it gets too cold, their metabolism may just stop working, and this will make the animal slow down and become sluggish. That's why you'll generally see more cold-blooded organisms where it is nice and hot rather than where it is cold and frigid. However, the salmon shark does not run into this issue because the salmon shark is one of the four endothermic sharks, or warm-blooded. The four are the great white, the short-finned mako, the poor bagel, and the salmon shark. This is why this shark, even when they are in cold waters, will continue to maintain their body temperature, which allows them to continue to hunt out their prey in cold waters. Overall, it gets a 7 out of 10. The main reason I chose the salmon shark is because I wanted to talk about endothermic and exothermic organisms, and the list is about sharks that you probably didn't know about, and a lot of people already talk about the mako and the great white. Plus, I thought that the yellow spots on his belly made him look unique. Moving on to number 5, the saw shark. The saw shark is probably one of the most unique looking shark species out there, not to be confused with the sawfish, a type of ray, which looks similar. However, you can easily tell them apart by the placement of their gills. While the sawfish will have its gills in its underside, the saw shark will have them on its side, just like most sharks would. What makes this shark so unique is its quote-unquote teeth, which are actually dermal denticles. Dermal denticles are sharks' versions of scales. He will actually use these to hunt by swinging them from side to side to immobilize its prey. Overall, it gets a 9 out of 10 for its unique and crazy looking snout. Now at number 4, I bring you the thresher shark, a prime example of brain over bronze. The thresher shark uses physics to its advantage. The thresher shark will gain speed before using its pectoral fins. Those would be the ones here on its chest, to stop himself and letting all of that kinetic energy go to its tail, which may reach speeds of up to 15 miles per hour. This creates an underwater shockwave that will stun or may even kill outright any fish that crosses its path. I was a bit curious of what would this do to a human, and while I could not find any respectable source talking about it, but according to Reddit, it can break your ribs and even rip your skin off. So yeah, probably hurts. Overall, 10 out of 10 for its clever approach to hunting. Moving on to number 3, the basking shark. Like I previously mentioned, most people know of the big 3 sharks, which include the whale shark, which most people know that it's a filter feeder. Basically, they filter out plankton and nutrients suspended in the water by swimming through the water and using its special pads to filter out the water through its gills. Well, the basking shark is also a filter feeder, one of the 3 filter feeder sharks, and the third member is also on the list. The 3 sharks are the whale shark, the basking shark, and the megamouth shark. Some other noteworthy things about this shark is that it's the second biggest fish in the world. It will leap out of the water, which I mean it's a 10,000 pound fish, so it's very impressive, and it's often found in groups of up to 100 individuals. Overall, it gets an 8 out of 10. It's definitely an interesting shark. And coming in number 2, the frill shark. This nightmarish looking shark is known as the living fossil because it's one of the most well-preserved shark species of the Cretaceous era. It has hardly changed in over 80 million years. This is mostly because it has adapted to living in the deep ocean at around 3,000 feet deep, where there is not much competition. Now, something interesting about this shark is that while most sharks have 5 gills, this shark has 6. This is because he belongs to an order of sharks called Hexanchiforms, which have 6 and 7 gills, and are considered the most primitive order of sharks still alive. Overall, it gets a 9 out of 10, one crazy looking shark with some pretty interesting history. Alright, I've saved the best for last, my personal favorite shark of them all, the epaulet shark. So you may be asking why this tiny little shark who's only 3.5 feet at max, your favorite shark. I mean, this thing looks more like a cat than he does a shark. And you know what? It probably is the closest shark to being a domesticated pet, considering you can actually legally own one. But that's not why I like the epaulet shark. You see, he lives in the tide pools of Australia and Papua New Guinea, and well, when the tide goes out, this shark may get trapped in the tide pools, which tend to be low oxygen environments. For this, the epaulet has evolved to slow down its blood flow and metabolism of certain parts of his body, which allows it to survive for up to 3 hours in environments of extremely low oxygen, and up to 1 hour with absolutely no oxygen. And this is not even the most impressive thing he can do. This shark can crawl in and out of the tide pools and into the ocean. Yeah, it's literally a walking shark. I mean, it's more of a slowly drawing himself forward, but still, it's a shark that will willingly come out of the water. That's a 20 out of 10 in my book. I mean, this shark is one of the most interesting organisms with some very cool adaptations, and while he might be small, in my eyes he's the biggest and baddest and coolest of all sharks. Anyways, that's all 10. I hope that you at least learned one new shark species, and that you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. Thank you for accompanying me today, and I hope to see you aboard again. May you have fair winds and following seas.